There's a certain kind of silence that doesn't bring peace. It brings confusion. You wake up with it, walk with it, try to ignore it. It's the fog of uncertainty, the quiet frustration of not knowing who you are, where you're going, or what the hell you're even doing here. Feeling lost isn't loud. It's quiet. Quiet enough to bury you while you smile through your day. And most people never escape it, because they never stop long enough to face it. The Stoics knew this feeling well. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, wrote often about being unsure. Unsure of the world, of others, of himself. But he didn't see confusion as weakness. He saw it as signal, a call not to run, but to return. Return to what? To first principles, to clarity, to logos, reason. So if you're here feeling disconnected, drifting, scattered, don't panic. You're not broken, you're just misaligned. And Stoicism is not a philosophy of answers. It's a philosophy of questions. Better questions, brutal ones. Questions that bring you back to the root. The reason you feel lost isn't because the world changed. It's because you stopped asking who you are in the middle of it. Not the version others see. The one you were before expectations, fear, and noise rewrote your map. And if you want to reclaim direction, you don't need motivation. You need clarity. Clarity earned through reflection, responsibility, and radical honesty. That's where we begin. Direction doesn't start with a plan, it starts with a pause. The Stoics understood that before you chase answers, you must first confront the noise inside you, not escape it, observe it. Sit down, no phone, no distractions, just you and the raw data of your thoughts. What patterns show up? Where do your thoughts pull you? Fear, regret, envy, resentment? That's the map. That's the terrain you have to walk through to find your way back. Seneca wrote, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." Most people drift because they never dare to ask, what port am I even aiming for? And deeper still, is that destination even mine, or was it handed to me by someone else's expectations? This is where Stoicism gets real. It doesn't offer a motivational speech. It offers accountability. Are you unclear because life is uncertain? Or because you've been too afraid to decide who you are without the world telling you? The Stoic path begins the moment you stop outsourcing your identity and reclaim the authority to define it. So take the time, name the confusion, write it down. What's bothering you? What feels heavy? What questions keep repeating in your head? The moment you can define the storm, it loses its power to control you. Feeling lost is not the enemy. Avoiding it is. Because behind every moment of being lost, there's a version of you trying to wake up. So now you've sat with the fog, you've written the chaos down, you've started to notice that being lost isn't about geography, it's about misalignment. Now comes the shift. The Stoic doesn't chase motivation to feel better. He chooses structure to be better. You don't need a vision board, you need a compass, built from daily action, not emotional hype. Here's how it starts. Every morning, before the world speaks, you ask yourself 3 things. What am I in control of today? Who do I want to be when things don't go my way? What value will guide my next decision? These aren't big, flashy changes, but they create direction through repetition. You want to stop feeling lost? Then stop drifting. Set one internal point of alignment and return to it every day. This is the Stoic way. Simple, unglamorous, powerful. And if this philosophy speaks to something inside you, if it hits that part of you that's done pretending and wants to lead from clarity, then you're already one of us. We're building a space here for minds like yours. So subscribe, not for more videos, but for more of this. A daily compass, not a dopamine hit. Because every time you choose to think for yourself, to hold the line, to slow down and decide, you're reclaiming ground. And lost people don't stay lost when they start walking with intention. You've heard enough theory, now it's time for tools. The Stoics didn't wait for the right path to appear, they built it through daily practice. You want direction? Start by designing your morning to reinforce clarity. No phone, no scrolling, no noise, just a pen, a page, and 5 honest minutes. Write down your fears, not to dramatize them, but to shrink them. Fear thrives in silence, it grows in vagueness. When you put it on paper, it becomes manageable. Ask, what's really bothering me right now? Then, what part of this do I control? The answer is your first action. That's how direction is built, not with answers, but with ownership. Then choose one principle for the day, just one. It could be courage, temperance, humility. Write it, speak it, carry it. When you feel lost, this is your anchor. The Stoics knew that values weren't decorations, they were weapons. Pick one and use it to slice through every moment of hesitation. Finally, move your body. It doesn't matter how. Walk, breathe, stretch, cold shower, lift, just move. The Stoics trained physically to sharpen the mind. Stillness doesn't mean inactivity. It means movement without frenzy. When your body aligns with your mind, clarity gets louder. You don't need a new plan. You need a daily rhythm that puts your focus back where it belongs, on what you can control. That's the quiet discipline that replaces confusion with purpose. You're starting to feel it now, not certainty, but momentum. And that's more important. The Stoics never promised that you'd wake up one day with all the answers. What they promised was that through discipline, you'd stop asking the wrong questions. You're not here to be certain. You're here to be deliberate. Every day, you'll face the temptation to slide back into confusion, to numb out, to wait for clarity to arrive like a package. But direction isn't found. It's built, layer by layer, choice by choice. And each time you pick discipline over doubt, you're laying another stone under your feet. This is the difference between drifting and walking. One lives by reaction, the other by decision. One lets the day happen to them, the other happens to the day. That's your edge now. You're not following noise, you're following reason, your own. You begin to notice, the more intentional you are, the quieter your mind gets. The need for validation fades, the need for comparison weakens. Why? Because when you're aligned, you don't need approval. You feel peace. That's the trade Stoicism makes. Not hype, not comfort, clarity. Most people won't choose this. It's slower, it's harder. It forces you to look at parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. But that's why it works. Because once you stop negotiating with yourself, you start leading yourself. You're not just escaping the feeling of being lost. You're learning to walk with purpose, even when the path isn't fully visible yet. You've been walking with this now, not rushing, not panicking, but choosing each step. That alone separates you from most, because most don't pause. They escape, they scroll, they wait for the world to tell them who they are. But not you, not anymore. Now you see it clearly. Feeling lost wasn't a flaw, it was a sign. A signal that something inside you was too silent for too long. You weren't directionless. You were disconnected from your principles, from your center, from the parts of yourself you buried to fit in or to survive. The Stoic doesn't escape this truth. He confronts it. You've learned how to reflect instead of react, how to write with honesty, how to act with intention, and most importantly, how to listen to that quiet inner voice that doesn't scream, but speaks with certainty when you slow down long enough to hear it. That voice is your compass. It was never gone. You just forgot how to tune in. The world around you will keep rushing, spinning, demanding. But now you carry stillness. You don't need perfect conditions. You need consistent alignment. You don't need a map. You've got a direction, defined not by where you're going, but by how you walk. So now, with everything you've just remembered, here's your question. If clarity came not from having all the answers, but from finally being honest about the questions, would you dare to ask the one that scares you most?